Broadcasting.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We have to be honest with you that we actually considered cancelling May, but here we are. We decided let's go ahead with it anyhow. April's been quite a run. Let's see what we're up for in May.
Well, here we are, Energies and Opportunities of 2024, and we're broadcasting Saturday, the 27th of April. We're back with you, of course, to explore the upcoming energies of this merry month, and we'll be updating you on the latest trends and the upcoming cycles, both through astrology and also looking through the human design matrix. It'll be an interesting broadcast, I think, so stay with us. Last month, we had a powerful solar eclipse on April 8th, and many of us are still in the process of integrating the internal changes that eclipse catalyzed in our lives. So if you feel a little bit like a butterfly just emerging from its chrysalis, stay tuned for a much needed perspective. Before we begin today's broadcast, we want to make sure you all know about a very special offer that we have launching this coming Monday. For a very brief period of time, we'll be opening our Energies and Opportunities for 2024 program at a 50% discount for all of you in our community. So look for our emails. This year is catalytic, and for a limited time, you can get day-to-day guidance from us on how to avoid the pitfalls and make sure you take advantage of every opportunity this year of light speed, innovation, and global awakening has to offer. So if you want to take a look ahead of time, you can go to our website, evolutionaryhumandesign.com, and just use the tabs at the top to navigate over to Energies and Opportunities in our trainings drop-down tab. Right? That's where we are.
Very good. So as we wrap up this merry month of April, we've just had this turnaround with Mercury. Mercury was in a apparent backwards motion for us. And now it's decided to turn direct from our point of view. So a lot of the things that have been confusing this last month, things that haven't worked out very well, will start getting better. However, I just say it did its turnaround in gateway number 51 in the human design. And there's been a lot of activity in the 51. This is a gateway of shock. And if you've ever been in a house where the lightning hit the roof in that house, not only do you get the flash of the lightning and the whole bolt of electricity going through the building, but you also get the bang at the same time. And that is the nature of this 51st gateway. It's the double thunderclap. So a lot of things happened in this last month of April. A lot of rearrangements of things happened. And we're not saying it's going to be totally plain sailing from here on out through May, but it's just, as Carola was saying, you know, it's a little bit like coming out of a cocoon.
Yeah.
You know, what just happened? What was all this flash bang all about? So we'll guide you into this as we get into the merry month of May. We end up in this very interesting life theme. You know, in human design, we found there's 192 different life themes. We all have one for our lifetime. But as the sun keeps moving around, it keeps energizing these particular life themes. And as we enter into the month of May, we enter into the life theme we call incarnation. And when you really consider what that word means, it means coming into the flesh. And so here we are, you know, we're probably pretty aware of our bodies and all that, but we may have forgotten sometimes, you know, exactly what's going on with this body. What's this body doing? It's actually carrying us through life. It's our mobile temple, if you will. It looks after itself, has its own amazing autopilot system. And we have the delight of being able to experience the world around us through this body. So as we enter into May, it's just a good time to reflect on that. What am I doing with this body? Am I really looking after it? Am I responsible for it? And so that is how we start off this month. I'm going to pass over to Carola now. She's going to tell us about what happened with this latest full moon.
Wow. Well, that's, I mean, you were kind of joking about should we cancel today's broadcast because, you know, It has been, I don't know, have you all experienced the same thing? Most of my clients I've been talking with have had a really, really bumpy ride during this last Mercury retrograde, which has been in place since April 1st. Mercury traveling in retrograde usually means that, there's some things to sort of go back and finish up, clear up your desk, clean out your closet, get your car serviced, those sorts of things. But it also can create some glitches with communication or glitches with our electronic systems. Well, I have had every glitch you can imagine. I'm actually, I have to tell this story.
A few
I'm
extras.
actually walking around with two iPhones. Okay, my old one and my new one. And my new iPhone 15 Pro Max, a $1,500 investment, is only working basically as a telephone. So I have a very expensive telephone. I have to go to my old iPhone in order to access my apps. I mean, don't ask. It's just, I don't want to take any more time with it, but those are the kinds of things, the sort of glitchy things that have been happening. And if you've been experiencing any of that, just know that this too will pass. And as a matter of fact, Mercury did a station, which means it's now apparently standing still because it was apparently moving backwards for almost the whole month since the first. Did that station, you talked about that happening in gate 51. It happened in the middle degrees of Aries, astrologically, conjoining the soul path. So this was a profound opportunity for us to really take a look at how we're managing our lives, our technologies, our communication, that sort of thing. And do we need to streamline, simplify, or update, which I tried to do. Anyway, so Mercury goes direct. And that just happened a couple days ago. So we're still just, the engine, the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis with one wing still in the cocoon, right? We're just kind of emerging from this period of time that has been really challenging. And as we do so, it'll be another good week before we'll see the energy starting to really move again. But there's a few things that have happened in the course of that time that I want to point out. One thing is that we had a full moon on April 23rd, and that full moon was in Scorpio, opposite the moon in Taurus, which was framed by a right angle with Pluto. And that sort of set off even more trying to get to or catalyze or complete things that have just been on hold or that we just couldn't manage to get through. So just know that things are getting better. If we look at now finishing out the month of April and going into May, we've got a little bit of a drag on the energy for the first week of May, but by the time we get to about May 7th, the energy really starts to move again. So on May, I have the wrong chart. Wait, okay. Sorry. This kind of thing's been happening to me all month, so please forgive. Okay, so on May 1st, we will have a third quarter moon. That third quarter moon is in the sign of Aquarius. So that begins the month. And at the same time, we're having two planetary changes. Venus, the planet of love and money and romance and beauty and art and money, all the yummy things in life, is leaving the sign where that it, is not its best sign to be in, Aries, and moving into Taurus, where it just loves to be in its exaltation in Taurus. And Mars, they're traveling sort of simultaneously. Mars moving out of Pisces, which again, not the easiest sign for Mars. Mars has to do with our activity in the world, our business activity, our work activity, what we do to make a living. And when it's in Pisces, it's a bit spacey. So it's moved into now Aries, which is its rulership sign. So it's full bore ahead. So that's part of the good news. By the time we get to a little bit further into the month, we're going to see the effects of an aspect that happens right on May 1st, which is Venus, that love planet, in a right angle, very powerful catalyzing energy with Pluto, the planet of transformation. So we're going through a real upgrade, a transformation, a symbolic death and rebirth, again, of our values. We've been working so much on coming to terms with our values, discovering what our values are, our own unique values, not the ones that we were told we should have or the ones that society has been holding as the ideal values, but the values that come from our heart and soul. So we're doing a bit more of that, another look deeply at what is it that we truly value, because that's where we need to be putting our energy. We also have a really powerful conjunction of the planet Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion and growth, and Uranus. Now, this conjunction's been going on, and it continues into the early part of May, which is really bringing changes that have to do with up-leveling our values and up-leveling our money mindset, our sense of abundance, and our beliefs around deservedness, around money, wealth, abundance, and ease in life. So those are some of the themes that we start out with in the month. Should I go back over to you for now?
All right. So I'd like to talk about a couple of the outer planets, and these are the ones, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And we might even include Chiron with that. Chiron does this orbit between Uranus and Saturn, so it kind of connects the body and the spirit, kind of connects the physical side of things, Saturn, what we have to deal with, the rules and regulations of life on planet Earth. And then Uranus is the looking outwards, like looking into another dimension in a way. Can we expand our consciousness? And so Uranus is in gateway number 23 at the moment. And in that human design chart, that is one of the throat gates. It's the voice of I know. And it's evident that Uranus brings some quite unusual statements. So we get to hear unusual things when Uranus is one of these throat gateways. And it's going to be in there for the next 5 or 6 years, going through these one after the other, these throat gates, these voices. So it's in the, as I say, the 23 at the moment. And we can surprise ourselves and be surprised by what it is that gets expressed at this time, like revelations, things that we don't normally hear. Neptune is in gateway number 25. Now, lately it's been going through all the gateways in the emotion center in human design. So we've really had I would have to say our spiritual nature has been questioned lately in these last 20 years or so of, what are our feelings towards our spiritual side? And it's now slipped into gateway number 25. And this is the gateway of innocence. And so the image that Carola gives us of the butterfly emerging out of a chrysalis, it really is, there's something of a birth taking place here for all of us, because we're being reminded of our innocence. When we come into this world as a baby, we are absolutely innocent, and then we get surrounded by all these agendas and all kind of cultural things. And we go through life being, bombarded with all kinds of different ideas that people have about life, what's important, what's not, what we're allowed to do, what not. And then we get to our deathbed, and literally as we slip off out of this world, we go back into a place of pure innocence again. So the fact that Neptune is in there at the moment, without necessarily an agenda of its own, Neptune represents love for love's sake. We are in this universe that is actually running on this thing that we would call love. And so it's just reminding us, when it really comes down to it, what are we doing here? Are we so complicated in our world, or are we actually recognizing something of the simplicity of it all, of the beauty of how everything's put together? And then Pluto's recently moved into gateway number 41. For years, it's been in gateway number 60, just outlining all kinds of things that need to be rearranged. And 41 is in the root center of the human design, and it's the gateway, I call it the gateway of imagination. It's right at the beginning of anything. What do you want to do? You know, what kind of experiences do you want to have in your life? And Pluto's already been turfing out all kinds of things that don't work anymore. You know, let not go through a list of all the things that are breaking down around us bit by bit. And it's just giving us a little preview. What are the experiences we really want to have? Because right away, we go a couple of days into May and it starts to go retrograde again. It's going to go back into gateway number 60. It's going to do a little bit more concrete breakup, you know, demolishing things that don't really work for us anymore. And so for us to be aware of this, what's our vision looking forward now? What do we imagine? Can we see a world that's in a place of peace? Can we get rid of all the armaments and the bombs and the destruction and the hate that seems to be so still prevalent on this planet for one reason or another? And then Chiron, this little asteroid that orbits between Uranus and Pluto, the ground rules and our spiritual or our breakout possibility or our more enlightened space, is in gateway number 51. And 51 is where we had the major eclipse, you know, and it was aligned with the North Node destiny for humanity. And this is the gateway I was talking about earlier, the gateway of shock. And so Chiron really brings that possibility of a healing in this time. You know, we've called this year a year of light speed innovation, and we're watching this stuff happen, and the potential of global awakening. And so really that is the undercurrent of everything at this time as we go into the merry month of May. I've described this life theme of incarnation, what's involved in being in the flesh. You know, for intense dimension, no problem. 20th dimension, even easier. You know, third dimension, a little tricky, to put it mildly. So as we get on into the month of May, we see that the North Node is still in gateway number 51. It's joined by Mercury, and Mercury doing its turn. It's also got, at the moment, we've got Mars in gateway number 25, and we've got Neptune in 25. So we all have this channel of initiation for the first 11 days of the month of May. And so again, this possibility of reevaluating how complicated is my life? Can I make it simpler? And you know, some of what Carol and I have experienced in this last month, since the eclipse, is there are too many complicated things going on at the moment. You know, and you can't keep all these balls in the air at the same time. It's about simplification a little bit. You know, let's get back to a more sensible approach to things. So really, that's what I sense is as the month of May starts out, looking around us and just seeing what are the essentials? What are the things we really need to put attention on? Because all kinds of possibilities are changing for us.
Yeah, I agree. So we do have another little new start that happens on May 7th with a new moon. That new moon happens at 18 degrees of Taurus. And each new moon, as I think most of you know, maybe some of you are newer to our community, but a new moon is the beginning of a new cycle. It happens once a month. So it's the beginning of a new 30-day cycle. And with the energies at the new moon hold the seed of potential for the coming 30 days. So, you know, if we look at the new moon energies, what we see there is that the new moon is also conjoining, so it's in Taurus, also conjoining Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. So that underscores the importance of taking this values inventory I've been talking about and updating our values, getting current and integrated with our values, and also updating, looking at our financial life and updating our financial well-being in whatever way that makes sense for you. So I want to say that with this energy, though, let's not be shy of making big, bold moves, big, bold changes, like big leaps. That's possible without taking on a whole lot more to do. One big shift, one big move can really make a difference in our life. So I wouldn't be shy about doing that. We do have the balance of Saturn, the planet you were talking about, that really it holds the frequency of the third dimension. So all the laws that operate in the third dimension, like gravity and time and space and cause and effect, or karma, if you will, that's Saturn. So Saturn brings a practical, grounded kind of approach. So we've got Saturn interacting really favorably with all this new innovation and new ideas and big growth. So I think we're good to go ahead and make those leaps, especially after May 7th. So if it's something new that you're prepared to put out there, actually we have something new launching the middle of this month that we're really excited about, but I'll tell you about that later. Go for it. The other thing that's happening is Mercury, the planet of communication, is conjoined Chiron. And because Mercury's been moving so slowly, since it was retrograde for a while, it's this conjunction of Chiron actually goes on for a bit of a while, almost 2 weeks. It's getting really catalyzed right around May 5th, 6th, 7th. It's creating or giving us the opportunity to break through of old patterns of communicating. So Shatan, you were talking about how Chiron has to do with linking the higher self and the lower self, aligning ourselves with the truth of our being, the truth of our essence, which Chiron gives us that opportunity to have that experience. So what we're doing with this Mercury Chiron conjunction that's lasting so long is getting really refined and aligned to really have a breakthrough in our patterns of communication, so that we have a commitment to authenticity in the way that we bring ourselves into the world, in the way that we relate with others, and what we communicate, what we put out there in the world. So this is a big, another big up level happening right around the same time here in the new moon. And you were talking about Mars also aligned with Neptune in gate 51. In astrological terms, Mars went into its home sign of Aries, and Neptune's still in the very last little bit of Pisces. So they're together, but Mars is really starting a new conversation as it goes into Aries, which it's been for a few days before the new moon. So by the time we reach the new moon, though, Mars is still in a linking aspect with Pluto, the planet of empowerment and transformation. So, we're talking about, again, taking empowered, bold, new actions. And I would say that is pretty much going to be the theme for this new moon cycle, which really lasts for about 30 days. So there we are, over to you.
All right. So on the 3rd of the month, the sun goes into gateway number 2. And the gateway number 2 is the gate of receptivity. And it's the gate of orientation. And all of us are, I won't say looking for new directions in life, but this is really a point in time where we can get our bearings reset. The sun being in gateway number 2 means the earth is in gateway number 1, the gate of creativity, and Jupiter at this time is in gateway number 8. So all of us, for a space of 8 days, we have the channel, the 1-8, the channel of leadership as a creative role model. So again, we may have found ourselves hearing or saying things that are unusual. We might also see ourselves giving guidance or seeking guidance in a very creative way, very different sort of way in these first days of May. New moon, as you say, on the 7th of the month, it happens in gateway number 2, this gate of reorientation, and it's in the 6th line. And this is what I've written for the 6th line. It's the line's called being preoccupied. Tunnel vision limits your capacity to expand fully. So that whole thing of just being so absolutely focused and rigidly engaged in something or other and forgetting to put our head up from time to time, we're just carried away with something. And this new moon is saying, hey, hang on, heads up, look, all kinds of things are calling to us. All kinds of breakout things are possible. And I was just remarking, is our life overly complicated at the moment? What are the essential things in this time? Whether you can embrace this or not, creativity is its own resource and the artist, the medium. And it's just to say there's something extraordinary that can happen in this time of creativity, the artist being the medium for creativity. all of us have something of a creative nature that wants to come through us. So this new moon can spur that. Heads up, let's just see what else is calling, what else is looking interesting for me. We move on a couple of days, the 9th, we move in, the sun moves into gateway number 23. We have the channel the 2343, which adds to the energy of Uranus, these unusual expressions, these unusual downloads that we get in this time up until the 15th. And on the 11th, we have a nodal shift. So in a sense, the North Node has been in gateway number 51. It's get a shock. It's been in there for months. And finally, we get a change. We get the North Node moves into gateway number 21, the gateway of control. We might say it's the gateway of the hunter, the huntress. And just for all of us to remember, there's two ways to go hunting. You know, this is a destiny path for humanity, right? And we are all being exposed to this energy of hunting or huntress. Two ways to go hunting. One, you put on your running shoes, right? And you race around chasing after something or other. You know, like you put all your intention and energy into it. The other, you wait until the quarry comes to you. You place yourself in a way that you're going to intercept it. And so it's about being really ready. We have to admit the whole world of finance is changing. Whether you want to go along with economies or whether you want to go along with, you know, inflation or whatever these things are, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous how less actual money or what has been considered to be money manages anymore. And so what's happened, you know, we've got all these new systems, we've got these cryptos, we've got these blockchains, we've got all these different ways in which money is working now. And it's changed. It has changed. I'm not saying the banks are going to go out of business, but, you know, they're hedging their bets like crazy at the moment by getting involved in crypto, you know, because it's the antithesis of a banking system. A blockchain, you don't need a bank with blockchain. So, you know, interesting times. Just that is one thing that has really completely changed for everybody. And I think it behoves us all to pay attention to this. And the North Node going into the 21 is that thing of put yourself in a position where the game can come to you. You know, 21's in the heart center, the center of willpower. All money stuff, all financial stuff goes through the willpower center. What do you want? What's got value? So really a great time to be paying attention to that. And this stays on all the way until the middle of July, sorry. So we're basically seeing from now until July, or from the 11th until July, the 19th, we're in this environment of just checking, where's this game coming from? Where do I need to be paying attention? Or, you know, the alternative is put your running shoes on and work flat out as usual. Just saying, it's an opportunity.
To ignore the opportunity for change or lean into it, in other words.
Yeah, it's changed. It has changed.
And we also have, I mean, the whole block of countries now pulling out of the dollar. Yeah. Which is huge, right? I mean, that's talk about a financial revolution. I mean, we've been talking for a while about the big revolutions that are happening in the early part of the 21st century that have to do with the old systems that were established in the 19th and 20th century, really beginning to fall apart, beginning to not work anymore. All the systems. So the, you know, from religion and the systems and the institutions, like the institution of various religions, education systems, obviously financial system, political systems. I mean, do we have, I almost use a very bad term, but we have quite a show going on the political stage right now. It's, you know, the world is going through a big mutation. And it's possible for those of us who, you know, listen to the news or follow the news, and how can you not these days? You'd almost have to just be living in a cave to get a bit dispirited by it all, because it just all looks like everything's falling apart. And in a way, it is. All the old systems are breaking down because they don't work anymore and they can't serve us in the coming times. But what nobody's focusing on in the media is the fact that, yeah, these old systems are breaking down, but new systems are getting created. And that's happening at an increasing speed, and especially this year, 2024, light speed in terms of innovation in terms of energy, in terms of finances, in terms of health, well-being, in terms of robotics. I mean, we could just go on and on.
AI.
So, yeah, it's extraordinarily exciting times. So I would say for those of us who have been, perhaps for decades, as we have, working with developing consciousness, meditating, really putting our lives into a framework in which we can be of service and be in somehow helping with the global awakening. And I know that that's all of you in our community. We're being called to really step up. Now, May is offering us some really great opportunities to kind of flex those muscles, especially right around the first quarter moon that happened, the first quarter moon in Leo, that happens on May 15th. So the quarter, we've got a new moon, and then it builds up to a first quarter moon, which is the first catalyst to really move the potential of the new moon into some kind of action fruition. So that catalyst that we have with a Leo moon is a very expressive moon. It's saying, let's move it. Let's take some action. Let's get big with this. We have, at this time of this first quarter moon, we've got the planet Venus, the planet of love, Uranus, the planet of big changes and awakening to higher states of consciousness, the sun, the planet of direction, purpose, identity, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, all together. So Venus, Uranus, Sun, Jupiter, all together in Taurus, tightly together. We have with this conjunction a potential for highly positive money flow, and maybe even, I'll go out on a limb and say possibly unexpected windfalls or entirely new creative ideas for new income streams or for expansion financially. So look for those opportunities. They definitely are here for us, especially right around the middle of the month. We've got Saturn interacting in a sort of modulating way, but with a very powerful linking energy, bringing practical and beneficial solutions for planning. So yeah, we want out-of-the-box thinking, but we want to make sure that whatever solutions we come up with are practical, doable, and that we can see ourselves implementing them. We have a pathway to do that. The other thing I just want to caution us about, the one, because it's a very positive set of energies here in the middle of the month, but the one thing just to be careful for a few days, as Mercury, and this particularly is strong on the 15th of May, and for the next few days, Mercury leaving the sign of Aries, where it did its long retrograde, and it'll be entering the sign of Taurus. But as it's doing that, it's forming a right angle with Pluto. And because Mercury, the planet of communication, when it forms a challenging aspect with Pluto, Pluto is just pure power, pure energy for transformation. This can kind of catalyze arguments or disagreements. We can get into really heated discussions that, is that really the way we want to go? Or do we want to take a few breaths, step back, try to see the other person's perspective, try to put our self in their world for a moment, try to find some way of reaching some kind of understanding. Now, that isn't being modeled to us if we look at what's happening on the world stage and in the political arena right now, but we're the ones that are bringing in the new consciousness. So it's up to us to let this aspect get us into needless arguments, or to allow ourselves to find creative ways to resolve differences. And that really is the only big challenge happening here at the middle of the month. Otherwise, we have one opportunity after another. So let's not spoil it with needless arguments.
So yeah, here, I'm going to look at now in the middle of the month, so the 15th of May, and the sun now has gone on to gateway number 8, and it's another voice, it's another throat gateway. And we're just going to see, you know, you're talking about Aries and Taurus, I'm talking about, you know, all these planets passing through what we see in human design as the quarter of civilization. And these involve all the gateways in the throat center, all 11 gateways. And so what we understand about the throat center, or what was delivered in our understanding of it, this is the center of manifestation. And manifestation can happen in very many different ways. It can be manifestation of thoughts, thoughts that come to the throat or come to that point of expression. And the moment the thought is expressed into a language, and let's face it, language is somewhat miraculous, that we can make these noises and people understand us or seem to. And when it comes into the 8th gateway, which the sun is doing on the 15th, we open up this life theme we call transference or contagion, where all of a sudden, whatever it is that's really interesting for us, we can't wait to tell everybody else about it. So it's a great time, you know, with all these possible expressions in the throat center, to put forth these ideas, these concepts, these ideals that we have in life, and to see, do they hit the right spot? Does somebody get it? Does somebody say, that gives me a really creative inspiration here? So we're going to get that area of inspiration from the 15th for about 5 days. And on the 18th, the sun goes into the 5th line, and it moves into this life theme that we call uncertainty. What's that old expression? Life is uncertain, eat dessert first. You know, it's one of those things to be aware that none of us really know what's going on in life here. Nobody really knows what's going to happen next. And this is a great time to be seeing ourselves on as even a keel as we possibly can manage. And I've said to myself, and I've given us all the outline of making life a little simpler in this time, not so chaotic, not so many things going on at the same time, like just being with the essential things. And so when difficulties arise, or we see that a challenge comes our way, we know we've got the space to be able to move through it. Come the 20th of the month, the sun goes into gateway number 20. And then for the next 5 days, all of us have this channel by transit, the 2034. This is the channel I call being busy. Busy, busy, busy. And those people who are born with this life theme that we call the sleeping phoenix, basically, this is your time. Yes, we can be busy, 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 but it's about being really clear what we are being busy about. Does it hold a sense of quality for us? Or are we just, you know, some kind of mad dash? So again, this is really an opportunity to be qualitative. At this same time, Mars moves into gateway number 51. Neptune is firmly established in gateway number 25. So all of us, from the 18th all the way to the 28th of the month, we have this channel of initiation again. This channel of making jumps, the thunderclap, the lightning hitting the roof over our head, you know, and we're jumping. What are we jumping into? We're jumping into a new appreciation of our life, a new connection with love. And I'm saying that because Neptune is the one, love for love's sake, is in gateway number 25. We're having this reacquaintance with our natural, innocent being here, right? So great opportunity to kind of shed a few things, you know, these complex things, these images that we have of ourselves that actually are meaningless when it comes down to it. They're just, what do I call it? Like they're fabrications, they're illusions. So that is really the energy of this time from the 20th to the 28th, re-examining. And Mars really putting energy into that 51, that giving us an impulse to make a shift in ourselves. We then come to the full moon. And I believe the full moon is on, what date is it?
It's on the 23rd.
23rd of the month. And it's a full moon in gateway number 34. Those of you familiar with human design will know gate 34 is the gateway of power, right? It comes out of the sacral center and it's raw power. So a full moon in this gateway of power, and it's the 3rd line. 3rd line can be a little haphazard. It can be a little experimental. You know, what are we going to do with this power? You know, do I really jam my foot on the floor and full gas, you know, and go for it? What do we see? The third line is called estimating, using power in accordance with prevailing conditions. Nothing like having a little bit of extra power. You know, a lot of us have been told we're powerless in life, that we don't really have much going on, that there are more important people than us, you know, they got a greater thing, you know, got all, you know, we're literally watching a lot of these things fall apart. I guarantee, you know, 10, 15 years from now, politics, you know, politicians are going to go back to being civil servants, please. You know, and all these so-called important people, they're just going to have to cool their jets a little bit, calm down. Right? They're not that important. They're supposed to be looking after us. They're supposed to be being responsible. You know, they've written themselves up beautiful contracts. You know, we've got this person trying to be the king of America now, you know, can't be touched by anybody, exclusive rights, you know, divine right. It's insane what's going on in that regard. And so all of us just have to see, you know, what's my place in all of this as a sovereign being, as an empowered being. And this full moon will really give us that little bit of a shot of extra energy at the time. And just to see, you know, where am I? Are my feet planted firmly on the ground? Am I substantial in my world? And do I see myself as a powerful being with as much right to be here as anybody else? And that's what it comes down to. I talked a little bit about the sleeping phoenix. This is the energy that's coming in these next years. There are global cycles. We're coming out of an age that we call planning, which has been very much what can I say? The collective has been trying to organize the tribe. You know, the collective is all about rule systems and belief systems, and the tribe is all about, no, we're looking after our own interests. Thank you very much. So, you know, the collective has been trying to impose rules on the tribal way. And, you know, we've had all these situations of governments setting up and this political need and that political need. And we're moving out of this time into this age we call the sleeping phoenix. The sleeping phoenix literally represents the age of the individual. That's what it's all about. So at the end of the month of May, we're all going to get this taste, this foretaste of what it is to be a sovereign being, a pure individual, with, as I say, as much right as anybody else to be here. And that really is the energy that the month finishes out with. We have that channel of 5125 giving us the impulse, make a jump, throw off some of these ideas or these handicaps or these balls and chains that we've been carrying with us, these extra complications that we really don't need, and be much more involved in being true to our own nature. We're here to come into our power in this time. And it's a fascinating thing to watch. You know, Carol and I are watching the energetics of this in human design and the astrological scene of things, you know, the
and in the world,
yeah,
you know, what's playing out in the world.
Yeah. So over to you.
Okay. I didn't mean to stop you short there.
Well, I could go on and on, but I'm sure there's time for a change of gear.
Well, I'd like to take us next to the full moon, and that full moon happens on the 23rd of May. Actually, I'll back up a little bit and say that we're on the 20th to the 21st of May, depending on what part of the world you happen to live in. We have the sun leaving the sign of Taurus and going into Gemini. So the whole time the sun's been going through Taurus, we've been really focused on values, on what's substantial for us, on building a strong foundation of knowing where we stand. And as the sun goes into Gemini, we have a complete change into a mutable sign that is very much about connection and communication and, you know, finding our people, our tribe, our groups, our people we communicate with, and discovering and learning new things. So it's a time of discovery and new adventures. A welcome one after the fraught energy, I think, of April and the first week of May. So if we then go, after the sun moves into Gemini, on the 23rd, we have a full moon. So the full moon is at 3 degrees of Sagittarius, opposite the sun, 3 degrees of Gemini. What we have here is, you know, I just talked about this beautiful conjunction of the planet of, well, first of all, the Sun, Venus, Jupiter, which is expansion, and Uranus, which is big change and awakening. So this conjunction is still active here at the full moon. As a matter of fact, it's very much a part of the full moon because the moon is opposing that conjunction and illuminating it for us all. So it's bringing it into, giant relief for us to be able to really see and get what are these opportunities that are really here for us? What is the awakening that we're just poised for? So the energies of this time, of this full moon, bring us some really powerful opportunities for positive growth, for innovation, for expansion. And we've got linking energy from Neptune, which is, as you were saying, this planet of high inspiration. It's as opposed to human love, which is more transactional in nature, I'll love you if you love me back kind of thing. Neptune is pure love. It's agape. It's love for the sake of love. It's love because that is my divine nature. And so it's the potentially the purest form of love. And Neptune is interacting in a really positive flow with those 4 planets I was just mentioning that are catalyzing all this change, all this opportunity, bringing new perspective. So we have, I would say, what I could summarize this by saying, if we're in alignment with ourselves, if we're doing our inner work, if we're in our meditation and we're connected with our spirit, our essence, and we're living life from that place, then this is a time, this full moon is a time when we can be showered with love and support and opportunity. There's a powerful energy of empowerment that is also playing out in this full moon that comes from Pluto, the planet of big transformation. Pluto brings the kind of transformation that requires a kind of a death of the old so that something new can be born. It's like for the butterfly to emerge from the chrysalis has to die so the butterfly can emerge. And it's like that for humanity. For us to awaken to new states of consciousness, we have to let go of the old state. Pluto is the planet that has everything to do with that process of death and rebirth, letting go of the old so that the new can emerge. And it is interacting so favorably at this full moon that I would say, don't miss this opportunity right around this time to be really tuned into your truth and to connect with your power. We're here as powerful emissaries of light to bring in a new age. So letting go of any self-doubt or old ideas about ourselves, our own value or worth that came from society, and really stepping into the light being that we are and the gifts that we have to share in the world. That's the potential of this time. In general, I mean, this time that we're in, you could say this decade that we're in, but specifically this month of May and this full moon really brings it into full light. So we have an opportunity to see ourselves in the highest light possible and see our true potential. What is it that is our next leap?
I'm just going to remark on one thing. Come the 25th, we have the 20 to the 34. The sun is activating this in gateway number 20, the gateway of now, the 34, the gateway of power. And we just had this full moon in gateway number 34. So tremendous energy with this full moon, the capability to do things, great accomplishments. And on the 25th, the moon that you've been talking about, slipping into gateway number 10. So when you look at the human design chart and you've got the 2034, this is in part of what we call integration circuitry. So it's about being very strong, sticking up for oneself, holding oneself erect while one is being busy, while one is engaging in things like exerting power. When the 10 slips in there, it gives us a whole other aspect. And because Mars and Neptune are in gateway number 21, 25 and 51, we have for a 10-hour period on the 25th, we have this whole channel of centering. In human design, there are many different circuits, but within individual circuitry, there are three main ones. And in this time, we're getting a combination of this integration circuitry, sticking up for ourselves, standing firm with things and how we're doing things. And it's also with the 10th gateway there, being able to embrace any kind of a challenge that comes our way. And that coupled with that channel of initiation. And I'm just going to remark on the 25th, it is an interesting day energetically to be able to perhaps recognize something huge energetically is happening in our lives. Like whether we like it or not, we're making a jump through something, a challenge of a sort that we may not have considered being capable of doing before. So I just put that out to all of us as we end the month. It's a red letter day in a way, the 25th, to be very, very aware of that. And just right afterwards, the sun goes into gateway number 16, and we have the channel of 1648, this channel of talent that is with us right through the 2nd of June. So it's a very powerful ending to the months in a way, great capability to be able to trust in what it is that wants to come through us. And all of these, the 2034 and the 10 and the 25 and the 51, they're all what we call individual gateways. So it's all individual circuitry here. So it really is that possible to, what can I say, rearrange things within ourselves, our whole appreciation of who we are and how we go about stuff. And it's a great way to finish off the month in a way.
I agree. We are going to have a third quarter moon right at the end of the month on May 30th. And of course, we'll be talking about that more in depth when we're back with you. We'll be back with you on the 25th of May, Saturday the 25th, broadcasting for the month of June. But just to give you a little bit of a preview, essentially right around this time, the end of May, the Sun and Venus are still in this beautiful aspect of traveling together and still forming this triangle with Pluto. So this empowerment in terms of our self-value, self-worth, in terms of our monetary situation still going on. But something also has happened between let's see, the full moon and this third quarter moon. So I don't have the exact day, but I'll have it for you next month. I think it's May 27th or right in there, that Jupiter, the planet of expansion and growth, after a year of being in Taurus, moves into Gemini. So we'll now have a whole 12 months of Jupiter in Gemini. So what's that going to expand for us is it's our community, our sense of who we're relating with and how we're bringing out, how we're communicating, how we're expressing our truth or our work or our beliefs or our joy or whatever it is we're expressing. And the tribe or the community that we're drawing to ourselves. And as this happens at this third quarter moon, Jupiter is in this very powerful configuration in a triangle aspect with Pluto. So getting this empowerment for growth and expansion, expanding our sense of community, our sense of who it is that is important for us to communicate with and stay in touch with. Very, very powerful time. At the same time, at this third quarter moon, the planet Mars, which again has to do with our work and what we do in the world to make a living and express our talents and abilities, is an exact conjunction with Chiron. So we're going through another up level in terms of taking our work to the next level, the next highest level. Okay, so before we end up though, I want to let you know that, and for those of you who don't want to hear about our next upcoming promotion, you could go ahead and be complete for now. But if you'd like to stay for a couple moments, we'd love to share with you what we have coming up.
Something different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shatan has been working now for a number of years and teaching this abroad, but this will be the first time that we launch it to our community and make it available to everyone in our community. We're going to be announcing a new program. I think that happens on May 16th, and it is your Love Karma program, which is a process of taking you, well, should I have you describe what it is?
Well,
That's
yes,
better?
why not? It's got two parts to it. And it's basically, I found ways to help people clear their karma. And it's in the human design chart. And when I say karma, I'm talking about things that are roadblocks for one reason or another, things that hold us up, things that we maybe can't see how to get through on our own. And I found ways to look into the chart and for each individual and find out specifically what these roadblocks are. And my experience of this, the people I've worked with before, teaching abroad and privately here, in some of my closer clients, they've had some extraordinary breakthroughs within hours, within days of completing this program. So just, I'm putting it out there. It is something very different. And it's not earth-shattering. It's not going to kind of turn your inside out, but it is going to shift your consciousness.
Yeah.
And that's the whole intention here, is to open up the roadway, open up the possibilities, expand the consciousness.
It's like up-leveling the genetic imprints, isn't it? And getting them in alignment with
Yes, exactly.
present time. Yeah. It's powerful, powerful work.
So we do go quite a ways into the unconscious, and that is part of the fun. Actually being able to engage that and recognize it, and then just to clear it, whether it's ancestral, whether it's our personal karma, whatever, just to be able to clear it. And yeah, great things happen.
Yeah. So look for that. We're going to do a very short time of making our Energies and Opportunities program available. I told you about that earlier at the start of our broadcast. And then around the middle of the month, we're going to open up this new program. So you'll see it coming into your inbox. Take a look and see if it's something that calls to you. All right. It's been a joy once again to be with you. It always is. We are so grateful for you, for our community. And we really hope that we're being of great service to you in bringing our monthly broadcast. We'll see you again next month. We'll be back with you on the 25th.
All right. Bye for now.